Go.
So release the energy. Oh, hey, it worked. It still worked. Wait for it. Oh. Each team is going to get one bucket. You should have three either tennis balls or these big green rubber balls. You should have 3 rolls of tape, 3 catch cups, 1 for each person. 4 ping pong balls. Please keep the ping pong balls on your table so they don't get stepped on. And you should have 5 tracks or ruler tracks. If you have more than that, you can bring them over to Lost and Found. Lost and Found is on this north counter. And the cool thing about the rulers is they're gonna be our tracks. Now, when you hear tracks, you're probably thinking of Hot Wheels tracks, and we have these in the STEM lab. But remember, this is not gonna be a STEM lab STEM challenge. This is a classroom, school-wide STEM challenge. So you have rulers in your classroom, and it turns out the rulers work really well because they have a groove right down the middle. Make sure that you use the side with the numbers on it. If you use the other side, it'll work, but not nearly as well. Today, we're gonna learn about 3 types of triggers. These triggers are key to every kind of Rube Goldberg machine. So here's our track, and here's our catch cup, and here's our ball, and we're just gonna try and roll it right into, it's not working. What do I need to do? I need to use a domino or a Lego or a block or any kind of object that will hold up one end of your track. Just like in a roller coaster, when you climb up that hill, you put energy into it, and then you release it and coast, and you get that energy back. Just like recharging a battery, you put energy into that battery. When you pick up the ball, you're putting your energy into that ball. And when you let go of that ball, you're releasing that energy, just like a battery releasing its energy. So now we understand how to put energy into something and then how to take it back out. But it happens so fast. Can we control how and when that energy is released? Think about a bow and arrow. How do you put energy into the bow? By pulling it back and then release it with your finger. So your finger is a trigger, and that controls the release. The trigger lets you choose when to let the energy go. So what we're gonna do is we're going to add a trigger to our track. So I'm gonna use another domino, and I'm gonna use this popsicle stick, and I really want it to be barely touching both ends. Just barely on the domino and barely on our track. And I'm gonna set that ball very gently. Like that. And now we have a trigger. Looking at it from this angle, you can see how this side is level with that side, and the ball side is much higher, so it's gonna roll down. Now I've got a track and a trigger. What do you think's gonna happen if I roll this ball into the trigger over here? What's gonna happen to our ping pong ball? Let's find out. Goal! So that's a track and a trigger. Now this first part is not a team activity. I want you on your own to have your own track and your own dominoes and your own stick and your own ball. So you need to build your own track and your own trigger. So when we do our STEM challenge Rube Goldberg machine, you will be able to do this with or without a teammate. Later, we'll start combining things with our teammates and do other more creative things. Now we get to make things more interesting with our level 2. Again, I'm going to set up a ramp. So my track is going to go directly into the trigger of the first track and trigger. I'm going to set up another trigger just barely on this domino and barely on the track. And again, I'm gonna gently, there we go. So notice how this one goes down to the right and the other one goes down to the left. Now all I need to do is pull this trigger I'm actually going to use a roll of tape as a wheel, and I'm going to roll the wheel toward this second trigger. Go! That's level 2 of track and trigger. What do you think level 3 is?
Every time.
Double goal! Yeah! Yes, yes, yes. Go! Nice. And now it's time for the Tower Twister. You'll definitely recognize twisting towers in other Rube Goldberg machine videos. And what you do is you're going to put a ball on a ramp, aim it at the trigger, which in this case is the ruler. There we go. Oh, so close! Hey! Go! I originally started here. Hit the trigger. There we go. But because it's narrow on the top, the rope or the string kept rubbing right here. Here's the trigger. So I extended it with a paper towel roll, or in this case, I think it's like construction paper because I ran out of towel rolls. And you see I just taped it here at the top. It's adjustable, so I can make this longer or shorter if I need to. And inside is our little kickstand here. So what I'm going to do is set up the kickstand. If I want to go to my right, I'm going to wind it up to my left. So this way, around and around. And then I'm going to take what looks like a little crown here. That's just a hex nut. If you don't have a hex nut, you could instead use a small rock or an old key or an old battery. Even an old toothbrush. Just something small enough that you can tie to the string and then wrap it around. And I'm gonna set the crown right there and a little bit of balancing going on here. Do not push the hex nut down onto the eraser because then it gets stuck and it won't come off. Instead, just set it on top like a crown so when this falls, it just comes right off. And I'm gonna guess where it's gonna go. I really don't know where it's gonna go, so I'm just gonna put this here. Wonder if I can hit it. I don't know, let's see. And then hit the trigger to knock the trigger out of the way and to release the hex nut. And, oh, so close. Oh, so close. You get the idea. On to our next trick, and that is the anchor yanker. So just like a boat has an anchor, a heavy weight tied to a chain, in this case string. So stand that right there. By the way, when you stand this up, you'll see one side has a button on it and the other does not. You want the flat side to be the one that you stand it up on. And then on the other end, I've got this clothespin. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect this clothespin very carefully. Yeah. Ooh, that was close. So now, when I knock the anchor off of the table, it's going to yank the string and it's gonna pull the kickstand out of the way. Hopefully. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Woohoo! Obviously, this is going to fall on the floor, so please pick it up right away so we don't accidentally step on it. And you could just set that on the table. This time, I'm going to go ahead and put the anchor yanker onto the ruler, with the kickstand here because it actually helps it to stand up, which is another bonus.
And then, again, I want my hex nut to go that way, so I'm going to wind it up the other way. Wrap it around. And then again, I'm going to set a little crown, hex nut.
Top of the pencil. A little bit easier this time thanks to the clothespin down there. And then I'm going to take the anchor here with the flat end. I'm going to set it on the edge. This time I'm going to set a little wall of dominoes so I can see where it actually might, well, I can see where it's going to hit. Then I can put a piece of tape and I can mark it with a piece of tape where it goes. All right, and trigger to the anchor yanker. Yes! Boom! Yes! So now I can just put a piece of tape right there and hopefully it'll hit that spot every time. Again, quickly pick up the anchor yanker. When it's time to clean up, please remember to put the kickstand back in the top tube here and let this hex nut hang down. Do not put it in the top up there. And then please carry this from the bottom so you have a good grip. I don't want this part to rip off. So you're just gonna grab it like this and carry it back over to the south counter.